Alright, what's up, guys? My name is 27, aka Jordan. I'm a 23-year-old producer, and I just thought I'd introduce myself a little bit more compared to what's already on my YouTube and social media. And I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, originally. Actually, I'm from Hamilton, Ohio, which is about 30 miles north of Cincinnati. But about a month and a half ago, I moved down to Atlanta to be closer to the music scene because I'm a music producer. And it's been great so far, but we're just getting started. But once a week, I'm going to come on here and give y'all one video where I'm just kind of talking. Just maybe something I talked with Bino about, or maybe something that I just want to talk about. And it's always going to have to do with music somehow, some way. I have some pretty cool ideas in the future, but today I just want to talk about, how I think, what I think are the 3 overarching keys to standing out and making and actually doing this music stuff on a higher level than just, I make music for fun, and that's okay. That's totally okay if you make music for fun, but me personally, I don't necessarily enjoy going to work Monday through Friday like everybody else, and I feel like I feel like I have a lot of talent with what I do when it comes to music, and I love to, make that my mainstream of income and the main thing I do on a day-to-day basis, because I don't see it as work. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is specifically especially for artists, but this could work for producers too. But it's just an idea, and I have a degree in chemistry, bachelor's of science in chemistry. So I know how to study, and I'm a very analytical person, and for that reason, I feel like what I'm about to say is pretty accurate. So, 3 overarching keys. So, number 1 is going to be whatever makes you unique. Number 2 is going to be how does your music make your listener feel? And number 3 is how are you going to make people pay attention to you? Attention is a currency in 2026, and a very valuable one at that. And so, how are you going to make people spend their attention currency on you, and hopefully actually spend real money to go to your shows or performances one day. But anyways, those are the 3 keys. But before we get into those 3 keys in particular, I want to kind of say why those are the 3 keys I feel are important. So back in the day, before social media became number 1 in everyone's lives, let's be honest, artists and the labels had very direct relationship, okay? You have an artist, small artist, with raw talent, but doesn't have the financial backing to do what they want to do. So guess what? They're going to go to the studio, and that's the only place they're going to go. Home studios are rare at this time, and cost a lot of money to build. But they're going to go to the studio. They're going to pay for studio time, which is still popular today. I think it's even more valuable today, but that's for another video. But back in the day, you go to the studio, and small artists makes a bunch of songs. Let's say 10 songs. They make what we call a mixtape. And so a few of these songs, or all the songs, they burn onto a CD, and then they make copies of the CD, and then they try to sell or give out the copies and say, hey, listen to my song in the car. Tell me if you like it. I'm here every day at this time. Come get some more. I got more music. Or, they'd give it to people who do underground shows. Aren't new. People who do the underground shows, and they say, hey, You think I can perform? Here's a CD. Boom. And so eventually, you get a few songs hot in your city on these CDs, and the label comes to you and says, hey, we noticed you got some pop in the city. This is a given city. And, we want to do a demo with you. So you do a demo with that studio or however, and let's just say you end up getting signed. And so the label back then would develop you into these stars that you see. Your Jay-Z's and etc. They would develop you into that. And so nowadays that isn't the case. Back then, the labels had a monopoly on who was big and who wasn't. Let's be honest. In terms of music. And the barrier to entry was super high. You're either going to be down here or you're going to be up here. Pretty much. For the most part. If you really wanted to make a living, you were making a really nice living off of music. Okay? Pros and cons. There's pros and cons to everything. Remember that. So those are the pros and cons back then. Nowadays, the barrier to entry to making good music that sounds actually good and like it wasn't just made on a snowball mic in the bedroom. It doesn't sound like the mix isn't noticeably trash. That's way more possible nowadays with apps like BandLab. They got presets on there. FL Studio, you can download the demo, make a full song, and load your preset in there with all stock plugins, and boom. And download Autotune and pay the Autotune subscription, and boom. Now you have the same Autotune that the top of the top uses. And so, with that, it has dropped the barrier to music down really low. Not really low, but low. You still have to have some type of talent, but I'll tell you what, the label isn't going to come to you off raw talent anymore. They're going to need to see you have X amount of followers on social media, and you have X amount of streams on DSPs, and then they'll sign you and try to get you with other artists. But they're not developing you as an artist. They're signing developed artists and trying to make them bigger, which is why the labels are nowadays. But how are you even going to get to that point? How are you going to get to the point where the label even wants to sign you in 2026? You have to have a following. How do you get a following? I think I have a pretty good recipe. A straightforward recipe, if you will. It feels like there's a lot of guessing trying to be an artist or producer and trying to make a name for yourself without doing any type of antics. You just want your music to be good, and you want that to carry you because that's what should carry you. But unfortunately, we don't live in a world where music can just carry you anymore because there's a lot of good music out here, and like I said, that barrier to entry is low. So you have to stand out in some fashion. And you have to work with the tools that God gave you. And you have to use them to the best of your ability. Now, you might not become the biggest star we've ever seen, but you might be able to make a living off of your music. And that's the key at the end of the day. And so now we get to the keys. So number one is going to be your uniqueness. What makes so-and-so unique? Let's just use, I think, like an artist like SD Kid is like really, SD Kid is one of the last artists to really go up for real. Like, go from less, like 190 something monthly listeners, I think it was, to a year out later surpassing 10 million monthly listeners on Spotify, which is obviously significant. And so Number one, obviously, his uniqueness was very much built into him and who he grew up as, and that's his accent. That's his cadence. That's his Scouser accent. It's very thick. It's very noticeable. Okay? If I'm not mistaken, he would, in his old songs, he would try to sound more American or more just regular London accent, regular British accent, in order to try to be more digestible to everyone else, but took away his uniqueness. Okay? Now everyone's looking at him like, oh, it's just some random white dude that raps and, does, it's just like, nah, like, that's not, he wasn't being true to himself, and that's kind of why I want to get to you next. Whatever is unique about you, you need to dive into it and not stray away from it. That's number one. Dive into the uniqueness, whether that's your voice, whether that's how you look, whether, like, let's take Rio, the Younger G, for example. He would say really crazy things, funny things. He's almost a comedian when he raps, but he had that burn on his face, like, and it was a talking point, right? And so, uniqueness. That was unique to Rio. It's just stuff like that. Future, his voice was very unique. That raspy, auto-tune, dark voice. But also melodic at the same time. And not too tough, Future was. He would talk about, his substance use and his problems with women. Even though he's a trap dude, at heart, he's still being real life. And these are all things that make artists unique. And this is honestly the last thing that people are going to notice, but it's the first step in the process of getting people to notice. You'll see what I'm saying in a second. So, moving on to number 2, you have how does your music make them feel, or also known as realness. Can people sniff out that what you're saying isn't exactly, it's just not hitting? When people say this song is hitting, excuse me again, whew. When they say this song isn't hitting, it's not making them feel nothing. That's what it is. And so, songs that hit not within 10 seconds, they're making you feel something. Pause. But they're making you feel like, okay, back to SD Kid. Okay? When you hear that that 4 Raws melody, it immediately hooks you. And then them drums come in, like, that is perfect energy music. That's high energy music. And he ain't even said a word yet. And then he starts rapping. Then you hear his uniqueness. But let me not get ahead of myself. That feeling that a song can give you. Your favorite song is likely a song that can make you feel the same way, even if you're feeling 4 different ways. For me, that is March Madness by Future. Love Future. He has my top 3 favorite songs ever. But March Madness, you hear that melody and, that song just makes you feel like you're balling out with Future, right there with him. I listen to March Madness in the gym. I'm a big gym goer, so I like high energy music. Or, we've all been there before. Shawty cuts you off, and you're like, man, screw this girl. I'm about to go ball. Let me put on this March Madness and go, figure myself out. I don't need this. You know what I mean? Like, or I might be happy. I might be lit. I might be lit at the party that March Madness comes on. I'm losing my mind. I'm even more super happy lit. Just dopamine going crazy because my favorite song just came on. And it's my favorite song because it makes me feel like I'm balling out every time I listen to it. Whether it's balling out of spite, I'm mad or I'm feeling some type of way, or I'm balling out because I'm just on top of the world right now. That song makes me feel something every single time I listen to it, and it has made me feel like that since I heard it when I was 11, 12 years old, okay? In 2015. It's really that simple. It's not simple, but it is that simple. Does your music, does a song that you are trying to, promote and post, does it make people feel something? Does it make you as the artist feel something? Does it make the producer feel something? The answer is no. Buddy, don't put your money into promoting that. You might as well, don't scrap it, maybe put it on SoundCloud, but that's not going to be the one that takes you up. You know what I mean? That's my point. We're trying to make a living off of music. 3 keys. We've covered 2. Uniqueness. Does your music make the listener feel something? If it doesn't make you as the artist feel something, if it doesn't make the producer, doesn't make the engineer feel something, I'm sorry. It might sound audibly great, but guess what? That is not going to be your hit that takes you. So, maybe not scrap it, but that's just not the one that's going to do it. And so, the more music you can make that makes you feel a certain type of way, no matter what that way is, like, back to SD Kid, that whole Rebel album makes you feel that high energy. Like, it's a great album to listen to in the gym. It's a great album to listen to before I played football in college, which unfortunately that didn't come out by the time I graduated. But hey, now I take that energy I put in the gym. It's just that it gives me energy to put into something. It makes me feel some type of way, and that's my point with that. Make music that makes people feel something. And if it doesn't make you feel anything as an artist or the producer or the engineer or whoever you show it to, it doesn't make them feel anything, make the next song, because maybe that one might. And so lastly, we get into I'm blanking on the third point. Give me 1 second. Engagement. Like I said, attention is currency in 2026 to the highest extent. It's scientifically, a study came out. Now, I don't know if it was peer-reviewed and this and that, but the fact that we're even comparing a human's attention span to a goldfish's attention span is crazy, okay? But everyone's scrolling. You're posting your thing on Instagram and you boosted it for however much money, and they're just doing this. Yeah, because guess what? Whatever you just put on there didn't grab their attention, unfortunately. You might thought it was cool, but it didn't grab their attention. And it might not ever, at first, it might not ever be a video from your artist page that catches their attention. I go to SD Kid. Once again, just because, like I said, he was one of the most recent ones. I caught the Rebel album, that's the one with 4 Raws on it, back like June 2025. And I loved it, but he was in the hundreds of thousands of monthly listeners, which is still crazy improvement from where he was the year before, but he wasn't there yet. He wasn't where he would end up. And then they started making edits with the songs on TikTok and Instagram to anime and athletes and sports and race car drivers and anything you make a freaking edit to. They're making edits with 4 Raws and, and all songs from that album. And guess what? 1 million monthly listeners, 2 million, 3 million, 4, 5, 10. And now he's on Yeat's album. I think he hit above 20 million monthly listeners. And it wasn't even because people were like, ooh, this SD Kid video is crazy. It's off edits. It's all faceless content that don't even, have to do with him. If you go look at SD Kid's Instagram, he never posted more than 9 posts at once. I don't think so. At least I don't remember that. I don't remember him just spamming stuff. You know what I mean? when I say, so this is what I mean. However you can gain their attention without being corny, because whatever attention you have and you do some corny stuff, you have to restart now. And now people that want you, you're not going to get their attention back because they're going to know you as corny guy until you have enough motion back again to where now they can jump back on the bandwagon. You have to do it in a non-corny fashion, but do it in as many ways as possible. That's how you're going to do it. That is how you are going to do it. So, and what I said, it works in reverse. Your process is one way, but it works in reverse. You gain their attention, however it is, without it being corny, and then guess what? Then you got their attention. Then they feel it. Then they feel the song. They're paying attention now. They pay attention to the song. Even if it's for 2 minutes, 30 seconds, they pay attention to the song. That's all you need. That's all you should need is 30 seconds. That beat, how you come in on that song, better make them feel some type of way. And then guess what? And then that song makes them feel some type of way. They're like, okay. They add it to their likes. They listen to it. They're like, let me go check out so-and-so some more. And then they're like, oh, he has a nice flow to him. He has a nice voice. He has a nice this. He has a nice that. And then they start checking out. And that's where the uniqueness comes in. And then music videos start coming in. And then they check out. Then they go on Instagram and they follow you. And that's when the content on there matters. You see what I'm saying? It works in reverse. From the artist, it works in the steps of the keys I gave you. 1, 2, 3. Unique, make them feel it, get their attention. As the consumer, it's okay, he has my attention. Now, how does that song make me feel? Which subconsciously, they're not actively thinking that, but hey, that's what's happening. That's why people have favorite songs. It makes them feel a certain way. And then they notice, oh, I like his swag. I like how he raps. I like how he sounds on these type of beats. Ooh, I think he could go on any type of beat. I think he sounds good with this artist. Now I'm going to start commenting. You see what I'm saying? So I believe those are the 3 keys to, especially as an artist. But I need to put this in practice as a producer myself. But I think as an artist, that's how you do it in 2026. And I think if you're consistent in that, and you're consistently making songs and putting out songs that capture their attention, show your uniqueness, and make them feel something, hey, you're golden. It's just a matter of time for you. But hey, that's it for this one. I hope you can take those keys and apply them to your journey, and God bless.